Okay, well, thank you all very much again for coming, and what wonderful things we have on the table. One of the problems of scrolls is that there's never a table that's big enough to show the whole thing, which is probably one of the reasons the codex was invented. Anyway, we are going to hear from Marinita and Anna about an ancient Japanese love story, rather like Cinderella, but I have also allowed each of them 6 minutes rather than the conventional 5, because it seems so beautiful, and I have been known myself to slightly exceed my self-imposed limits. So anyway, over to you both.
Thank you, Chris. That's very generous. Thank you everyone for coming. So I will try to be quick and I will fly through my part of the presentation, and I'll probably start with the provenance. So this beautiful set of three hand scrolls was donated to the library by Padre Toynbee, an alumnus of Balliol College who traveled to Japan in 1880s, and he acquired there a number of printed items and manuscripts, including this wonderful scrolls. And at the left side of the table you can see his notes which he made during his travel in Japan. So these scrolls, they belong to a type of illustrated manuscript which are known as Nara Ehon or Nara picture books, or in our case, if you want to be even more precise, Nara Emaki, Nara hand scrolls. They were most actively produced between 16th and 18th century, mostly in 2 formats, scroll and codex or book format. And despite the difference in formats, they share several common features. So the texts are usually adaptations of popular medieval stories. And if you look closer after the talk, you can also clearly see the similarities in color palettes and also in composition. So this sort of manuscripts, narehon, they're often described as a sort of transitional media between elite medieval manuscript culture and the print culture of the Edo period. Because they're still hand-produced and often luxurious objects, but when compared to the earlier manuscripts, they reach sort of wider audience, wider market, including daimyo households and even wealthy merchants. And they're also more workshop-based and reproduction-oriented. So they were more in quantity, and also they varied in quality a lot. And it is also well known that most expensive and most luxurious of narehon were often used as an aristocratic wedding gift or form part of bride's belongings. And our scrolls are an excellent example of such luxurious naremaki. So first, they're exceptionally long. There are 3 of them, and the longest is 17 meters long, so I think we would need the whole room to unroll the whole scroll. They're also richly decorated, and they come in a beautiful lacquer box over there, and Marinita will tell you more about that in a couple of minutes. And the story is also a perfect bridal story. So it might not be obvious at a first glance, but the plot is actually very similar to Cinderella. So there is a high-rank noble who has 2 wives. So he has 1 daughter from 1 wife and has 2 daughters from his 2nd wife. And the first daughter is called Himegime, and she is, of course, the most beautiful and the nicest of all. And then she loses her mother and falls under the control of her stepmother, who treats her really badly. And then there is a young captain who falls in love with her. But the stepmother deceives him and makes him date her own daughter, and so on and so on. And then if we look at this panel here, just quickly. So this is one of the central scenes of the story. Here we can see a captain. He's elegantly hiding behind a pine tree to spy on Himegime while she is out for a walk with her sisters. And that's actually the first time he sees her in person. So prior to that, he had only heard how beautiful she is and only heard remotely her playing koto, but it was enough for him to fall in love. All right, so I think I'll stop here and pass the conversation to Marinita, and please feel free to come and talk after the presentation.
Thank you, Anna. So I will move into a different realm. So these scrolls, the reason why these scrolls are here is because between 2023 and 2025, they were conserved at the Kyoto National Museum Conservation Center. So during the conservation treatment and then the technical analysis and that we did here at the Bodleian, we discovered more about how these scrolls were made. So this is, as Anna was mentioning, this is a fine example of Nara-Eon manuscripts in a hand scroll format. These type of manuscripts were made to kind of delight and entertain the viewer, so not just through their stories, the beautiful story that Anna was just telling right now, but also through a careful selection of materials, colors, and decoration. And that's what I'm gonna talk about in the first few minutes. So as you see here, we have these beautiful covers in the damask, in gold. In gold brocade, sorry. The inner covers are these stunning gold leaf, slightly textured. And as you start to unroll the scrolls, 15 meters for each scroll, so it's like quite an endeavor to create them. You can see that the paper itself has got a subtle sheen, and this is because most likely the paper was made with gampi, which is a Japanese plant that grows only in the wild and is used, and I have an example here of the branch of the bark of gampi that is used for this, which is growing only in the wild, therefore is very expensive and is still used today in Japan to make some of the most exclusive papers for artists. Regarding the text sits not just on this beautiful paper, but on quite a beautiful decoration of botanic motifs in shell gold. And then moving forward, we have these very colorful panels, very beautiful, which are, after studying them, we discovered that after all, they are made with the clever use of only a handful of pigments of organic and mineral origins, just used and mixed in a clever way. And here I have some examples of the raw ingredients used to make these pigments. We have a bowl of indigo leaves, a large piece of malachite, a lump of vermilion, and then an oyster shell. And you might be thinking, what is an oyster shell doing here? Well, oyster shells were used in Japan to create these beautiful whites that you see are used for the faces of the characters, as much as many of the other features. Moving on, I want to just talk a little bit about the conservation treatment that happened in Japan. So the scrolls before conservation presented, fortunately you can't see them before conservation, I have a photo here, presented quite severe distortions across the painted panels especially, and some of the paint layer was very flaky and unstable. So what they did is that they separated each of the scrolls in their own singular panel, and each panel was humidified, it was pressed, and then the main creases were reinforced from the back with some strips of Japanese paper, like so very thin strips that if you look at the part that is rolled here, you can barely see, but there are now and then just reinforcing the major creases. And regarding the long-term preservation of the scrolls, they are now rolled around this kind of roller clamps. So this is a roller clamp that just clamps around the original roller and helps to widen the diameter of the scroll. Therefore, in the future, we don't have creases and distortion reoccurring. And the beautiful thing about this wood is that it is extremely strong, but it's very, very light. So I don't know if you can sense that it's so light. And so this roller, as much as The new boxes and the original lacquer box are made with this wood that is called Paulonia, from the Paulonia tree. The Paulonia tree is very symbolic tree in Japan, a very important tree, and is used since the olden times, has been used for a very long time to make boxes, enclosures, and chests to protect valuable items. And I was reading that now it's used for surfboards as well, so I've got lots of different uses. And just here we have, maybe you like that. We have the report, which has got lots of beautiful photographs before conservation and during conservation. If you're interested, you can browse through. And I have, just to finish, I have just an image of the Paulonia tree, the first description and illustration of Paulonia tree that reaches Europe with Engelbert Kaempfer at the beginning of the 18th century, just for you to have an idea what type of wood and tree we're talking about. And he already talks about it as a special wood and very important for this sort of an enclosure. I've come to the end of our presentation. I think, as Anna was mentioning before while we were chatting, these scrolls have not been digitized yet. So, yeah, so please take a close look.
This is the only way to see them at the moment. Please do come and take a closer look.
Okay, so thank you for such a wonderful talk and for telling us about all the hard work that underlies our ability to show these to scholars and to you. I think it's fine to pick this up and fill it, but do not try the scholars. Okay, come and have a closer look.